G'day guys, Jose here. Welcome back to, Confessions of a Caster. Sounds really dramatic when you think about it, Sounds like, it's a sob story waiting to happen. But, this is what happens when I frame it this way, okay? And yeah, welcome back. The first video was pretty good, apparently. A lot of people said that they were interested in the inside of it, okay? Because I guess I was really, really raw of it and stuff like that as well. And at the same time, as it looks alright, for no reason. I'm such an idiot at times, but that's what people enjoy about me, I guess. But yeah, generally, they enjoyed the first video. I was actually shocked to receive all that feedback as well. And yeah, so basically a lot of royalty and stuff like that as well into being a caster, as per se. Now, one topic I want to discuss here, there's a lot of topics, some of them controversial, but we're going to leave part 2 with the grind, okay? The grind is the first step, okay? So the first step is, at the start, your grind, whatever you get inspired by. The grind, I gotta say, the easiest thing to do the grind in is probably CSGO, because there are so many games that can be casted from open to advanced in ESCA that any team, some teams don't even pay you, by the way, to cast their game. Now, also as well, there are so many demos that you can practice casting over it. Get OBS and record yourself casting and send it out to some of the people as well. There's a lot of options available to you. CSGO is probably one of the user-friendly and easiest games to cast, because first of all, CSGO's got some relevance to reality as well. The AKs, the M4s, you can probably name it top of your tongue and stuff like that as well. And, the game barely ever changes. So, even if you go away for a moment, it comes back and you get new weapons. Or not new weapons, but, you know most of the weapons already, because the weapons really don't change too much. I mean, if you look at Steam's, updates on CSGO, not many big updates, you'll see it there. Now the grind, the first thing is get into games, okay? And the grind is the roughest part of casting, okay? One of the roughest part. It's even slightly more rougher than caster politics, and we'll get to caster politics later, and that's not enjoyable either. But anyway, so with the grind, so the grind is just basically you want to cast as much as you can. In fact, you see streamers on it now who are casting Eden, Malta, whatever, those tournaments. Sorry, Malta, Eden, that's the same person, Malta, Pinnacle, that stuff. They're casting all those games to effectively bird feed. Very little payment, and it's doing it to really show themselves as a caster, okay? Be like, hey guys, look at this, I can cast this game, I need to get my excitement up so I can potentially get a bigger job. And that's what they do it for, that's the grind. Now, the other aspect of the grind is not getting picked as talent for certain events. And that is a rough one, because you feel a lot worth less because you're not getting into things, okay? And I've felt that, I've done that quite a bit, where I constantly always end the third duo. I'm always the one that gets offered the things last and stuff like that. Well, not last, but not first. Obviously, I don't get everything given to me first. Okay, I'm always one who's getting off cuts and stuff like that. And it's quite rough at the start. It's hey, I'm a new guy to the scene. It's you're never gonna get any good games to begin with. Okay. Now for you guys aspiring casters as well, if you are coming to the CS:GO scene, let me be honest with you. If you're expecting to cast the top tier 1, tier 2 teams on your first game, no, you are not, okay? Do not do that, okay? If you're one of these guys that wait for the top teams to start playing, you're going to get nowhere pretty quickly, okay? You're going to have to cast all the games that you can, okay? That's how you grind, that's how you get your knowledge. So when you get to those big events, you're not making silly little mistakes and stuff like that. But, alternatively, you can cast for relog as well. I know I made a relog joke there, but they pay peanuts, and you probably get some experience while there as well. And, that could also unlock you to some good events as well. But mostly, if you can't do that, ECA, Advanced, Main, just cast every game there is. Who cares what the team is, okay? The thing is, a lot of casters will only cast the big teams, okay? They think the big teams is their pudding and they go straight to it, okay? That's what some of the people who would come into the scene start with, okay? Sometimes. I'm just telling these casters to not do that. You want to know all the teams in a tournament, so when you get onto a desk or something like that, you can be like, oh, I casted these Copenhagen Flames before. This team, is going well. Huxley's been a team for quite a while. He's been in IGL for quite a while. He's been going in and out, but he always returns to the Flames. And, Roy, Roy is a new one. He's in the Flames now. He's been a Flames member. He transferred to Tricked as he was a Flames. And these all little facts about these players as well, which is really, really important to get familiar with the players so you know their history, and you can actually contribute something to the cast. And this is why you grind all these games, because you know the players. Now, you can actually get to know the players if you want as well. Retro does this very, very well, I believe. I think it's Retro, or Neokai. That's probably Neokai, actually, it's not Retro. He does this very, very well, gets interviews as well. Got an interview with Torzy, which was a huge interview, given where Torzy is now. and you can get places like that as well. Now the grind doesn't just mean casting CSGO. You got to actually do other abilities like just production, do some obviously interviews as well, and then cast obviously, and maybe do some analysis as well. Maybe do some how to YouTube guides. Now a lot of people get caught up in the grind because the grind can absolutely suck at times where you do all this work and you get nothing for it. Okay, well, say for example you get like 22 EU or 27 EU per map, which is not much. Okay, I can tell you right now, it's not much in Australian dollars, about $30 Australian for an hour of your time. And not to mention, they don't even take tax out of it as well, so you gotta take tax out of it. For me, it's probably 39 cents and $1, and I get left home with like $16, which is just below minimum wage for me as well. And not to mention, it doesn't consider all the time you've prepped up and stuff like that into that equation, which I gotta tell you right now, this is gonna lead to my next segment of cast politics that casters need to pay attention to. They need to value themselves, and that'll be in another section later, not cast politics. But with the grind as well, it can be very, very rough at times, and sometimes you may not want to cast it, but you got to cast it. You got to bring your A game. Basically, pretend even if you got 10 viewers, and I see people being like, "Oh, I want to get 20 viewers this game, so I won't cast it." Mate, one of those viewers could be a fucking ESL person. They could get you a good link up, or friends with some of the players in the tier 1 scene. Man, I had Broline's girlfriend at one time when I was casting Prima. Ex-girlfriend, I'm not sure. When I was casting Prima Esports, and that's how I met Era, that's how I met ZTR and stuff like that as well. Through casting that game, like, me and Era on good terms about it as well. And Game on Legion as well, that's how, I met a lot of these guys as well, through it, Dennis and stuff like that as well. It's because I casted every single game. That's the point of it. There's a reason why Season 36 and Season 37, if you look at the stats, and if ESA want to give those stats out, I am the top. I am beating casting organizations how much I cast, okay? That is scary that I was beating Vortex, okay? Beating Vortex, okay? And Vortex had a cast for every game and paying them nothing. But that's what you got to do. You got to really put your mindset there, get to know the players, and when you go to a tournament, because this is what Chris the Average, I think Mitch from Capping TV, and a lot of people are like, "Shit, Josh, you just know fucking everything, don't you?" And I'm like, yeah, because I just get out there, know the players, know what they've done, seen what they've done previously, and I have a memory of a fucking photographic memory, so that helps too. But those are the sort of things you gotta do. You gotta treat it seriously. I mean, look at Turtle J and Dweg. They had a stream where they were just researching the plays and stuff like that. That's what you kind of have to do. Even as a duo as well. Sometimes you can phone it in. I can phone it in pretty well. Just basically as a learning experience. I basically tell the stream, hey, I'm just learning about this team because I'm not sure. And this is when you can really justify, hey, I'm doing it for free, but I'm learning about this team. This is the team I'm learning about. And, you gotta commentate what went well there and stuff like that as well. And it's okay to learn. That's what you use advanced and main to do for, is just learn the players, okay? And I can understand being unpaid and wasting time is money, basically. But you are basically doing it for the long haul. Now, this is where the sucky part comes in. You can grind all this much and then never have a chance of getting casting for money. And I feel that and I know that. In fact, in the AU scene, it's becoming like that for me. I'm just like sitting there going like, yeah, I'm like probably, me and Wick's probably a third or fourth casting duo at a pickup. Realistically, I mean, they've got a lot of casting duos there. And, we're going to get scraps, basically. It doesn't matter what we do. We're going to get scraps unless we can prove ourselves to be much better than other teams or, get into a big ESL tournament and just basically kick it off and everyone loves us, okay? That's the reality of the grind. And, grind, sometimes you're going to have to sit down there. Me and Wix did it as well for the Asia tournaments because none of us had any idea on the teams. We actually asked players. I mean, Urkar can vouch for this. Impression can vouch for this as well. And Zion can vouch for this as well. We actually DM'd them being like, hey, team name, like, who's your IGL and stuff like that. Even the Mongolian team, which was Team Renewal at the time, we somehow got over the language barrier. I think we talked to 9 at one point as well, and I've been talking to Elishgar about this. It's like, how do you pronounce these guys' names? Because we're getting paid to do this, so we got to make sure we put in a good job, which we did in the end. It was actually really, really good. We actually got some really, really good CSGO. And yeah, those are the sort of things you got to do. You got to do the extra mile. Now, I don't do the extra mile. I'm going to tell you straight up, I don't do the extra mile at all with talking to other casts, stuff like that. I should, and I don't. I'm very fucking slack because... I've got other friends and stuff like that. I'm in my own world half the time as well. And would I love to? This is going to sound mean, but, probably not. FPS scene is not really my scene that I chill with too much. I just go on people's chat, say hi, stuff like that, chill with them a bit, and that's pretty much it. I'm not really close and personal with any of the other casters, and that's, they can say, yeah, he's kind of right on that, because I am, I think. But anyway. But, not, that close and personal with a lot of casters at the end of the day. And, that kind of hurts me quite a lot. Okay, and you guys can make the same mistakes too. You might make mistakes in other areas as well, but we're only human. So you basically try your best, go the extra mile, because if you're not going to go the extra mile, someone fucking else is. Okay, and with the other casts, Exposure Vibe, casting for other studios and stuff like that, definitely a good pathway as well. Like I say, one of the mistakes I did was, when I was doing my job as a caster collective, if I do, basically what I do is I aggressively ask people what they're getting paid, because I don't like people getting paid peanuts, essentially. So I've been trying to get the rates for all the tournaments for casters as well. And when I saw Relogs, and Relogs tripled their prize pool, I was just like, hey, Relog, give very aggressively, of course, give more money to your casters, because you've got tripled the prize pool. You've got some good teams in there these days. These casters should be getting paid a bit more. I asked for, I think it was 10 EU. So 10 EU extra on 22 to 32, 37, and 60 for casters, okay? Which would have been more than ESL. And the thing is, they had a tournament that was paying more than ESL. So, you want to get more casters. Otherwise, you're going to have very, very interesting casters, and you're going to have Skate complaining about it. Because I remember, was it Duplicate or Double Magic was complaining about it? Or I'm not sure it was complaining. No. It was Dennis Law complained about it. Where he said, what level casting is this in Bulgarian, basically, or like very broken English. And, basically that caster is going to have a hard time trying to get back into it, okay? Now, there was one caster in particular, which was Retro, who had a it was Neokai, who had a very, very bad day. And people know Neokai is a great caster in the first place. But the thing is, if you're a newer caster and you do that sort of effort on an official cast, that is a very hard hill to come up from, okay? If you don't have any credibility to back it, you're going to get smashed around. So that's one thing to do as well, is that bring your A game to every single game. Doesn't mean you fucking hype up every moment, but, when the moment needs the hype, you bring it. When the moment doesn't need the hype, you don't need to bring it, okay? And also make some, insightful comments as well. If you're the color cast, make some insightful comments of, what's happened, stats about the game as well, the amount of damage being done with nades, even a rough estimate, okay? I told I think Sicarius this as well, because Sicarius, he's good, like he's a young caster and stuff like that, but always keep the flow going, because he stops and thinks sometimes, I feel like it, and he stops the flow, okay? Got to keep the flow going. I basically told him after stream, like, just always pretend you're right, so the flow keeps going, okay? That's what I told him, because I feel like he was trying to correct himself, and I'm like, keep the flow going, okay? Even though if you're not right, just pretend you are, okay? Because I know that is a kind of a conflict with personal relationships, but in a casting sense, you want to keep the flow going, okay? You want to keep the flow going. And, those are kind of feedbacks you can kind of give casters as well in a good way, okay? And that's what the grind is about as well. It's also about a bit of feedback. I mean, I introduced that just then. A bit about feedback, okay? Try to take the feedback as best you can. I'm going to tell you now, I am not good at this from some people, okay? Not good with this from some people. From others, I'm a bit better, okay? But most people, I'm like, I'll take that on board. And other times I'll be like, nah, I don't feel like that's the issue. I think, I think there's something else there as well. And you're allowed to disagree with the feedback. At the end of the day, with the feedback is don't take advice someone that you wouldn't normally, or don't take feedback from someone you would go to advice to, okay? So if you're taking it from like a random better about advice, be like, no. But if you're taking, from a player and stuff like that, on what they want to listen for, stuff like that, maybe that's a bit better, okay? Like, you'd probably ask the player, if I'm doing anything right here or anything like that as well. And that's pretty much it. That's the grind in a nutshell. It's just basically, well, if you want cliff notes at the end of this 13-minute video, it's basically one, basically cast a lot of games. B, get to know the players. C, reach out to other talent if you're not sure what's going on. D, basically get your just teeth into the game. And also other skills, very, very important. Make sure you're able to produce. Okay, that's another one as well. Be able to produce. Number 5, be able to produce your games, okay? 6, be able to manage production as well. Get more skills to your bow. Interviewing, another one important one as well. Be personable. Be someone that people enjoy listening to. 7, if you get any other skills that are just relevant to CSGO and you want to bring it in, do so. Like, do it. And then lastly, 8 is that don't go searching for the big games first. Okay? Just build your repertoire, build your encyclopedia, be an asset to your broadcast. Okay, guys? And that's going to be the end of part 2. The grind. I know I went off into many different tangents, but they're all related to the grind. And next up, I think I will do probably cast politics, because kind of important one, and you'll get to understand, sometimes it can be a viper's nest. Anyways, if you liked it, share if you think other people will enjoy it, subscribe if you want to hear more parts, and I hope to see you guys later. Peace out. Josh out.